2, 1, go!
Welcome to Besties and Bubbles.
Cheers, friends.
Here's my bestie, and here
Here's
are
our
our
bubbles.
bubbles. So thank you for joining us. We appreciate all the nice comments we're getting from people about our podcast. So we just appreciate you, checking us out.
We do, and we love hearing from you. We love hearing your different comments about things, and it's been fun. It's been a lot of fun so far.
We're having a good time.
We are.
Definitely.
We are. So, friend, today, I thought that we would talk about travel.
Traveling.
And I don't mean traveling man or whatever. I mean, I think, we're Gen X, right? As we say all the time. And I think that a lot of us might be empty nesters or soon to be empty nesters, and we don't necessarily have to hold through to a family vacation schedule. This is something that we as Gen Xers, whether you want to do it with you and your partner, or your girlfriends, or whatever.
Yes.
I think it'd be fun to just kind of talk about either places that we'd like to go to, have been to, that would highly recommend.
Right.
Maybe you'd go back also. And then maybe just some of the places that, the interwebs say that.
Yeah. What does the interwebs say?
Maybe we should go to.
So Kimmy did do some research.
I did do a little
with
research.
The interwebs. What is the interweb? The interweb is just
It's
internet.
like the Jewels, but or the Nordstroms.
The Nordstroms?
Right. It's the interwebs.
It's so funny.
It's
Yes, and this actually is a topic that just gets my juices flowing, honestly. Because if I can encourage anybody to travel, I have had the best time the last couple years. Not traveling with a romantic partner, but with girlfriends or just a group of friends.
True.
I have seen the world in a way, it just changes you when you get out of your state, even if it's not out of the country. So
agreed.
Tell us what some of the places that the interwebs, the jewels.
We'll start there, and then we can kind of give our feedback.
What places?
So some of the places include Eastern Europe, with its medieval castles and historical sites and so forth. Northern Greece.
That came up as Northern Greece?
Yes.
That's number 2?
With its kind of less touristy locations, but Greece is a gorgeous country, as you know. Cozumel, Mexico.
That's an interesting one on there.
Which is interesting, but it's...
I wonder if it's because it's easy to get to.
Well, for us, it's easy to get to.
Aren't these U.S. people? U.S. Gen Xers? No, it just says Gen X
just
travelers.
Gen Xers.
Okay. Okay.
All
right, so Cozumel,
the Cayman Islands, and I, even in our own, back 50, as we'd say, are great places to visit, because the United States has amazing places to go visit.
Absolutely. The United States has a lot of beautiful places.
I would agree. So, I mean,
So wait, Vietnam is on here?
Did I miss that?
Vietnam.
That's
an odd one, don't you think?
I would love to go to Asia.
Okay.
So I would put that in there.
They said Vietnam combines history, natural beauty, and affordable prices.
Well.
So maybe that's why Gen Xers are saying that,
Yeah.
Is that on your bucket list, Vietnam?
Vietnam is not on my bucket list. However, I will share a story with you that I have been to Dubai, which was never on my bucket list, and I'm so glad I went.
Yeah.
It was the bucket list, non-bucket list.
It was, now that I'm here. That's like when we write a list of things that have to get done for the day, and you're like, oh, wait a minute, I have to get this done. And then you do it, and you're like, it didn't make the list. You write it on the list, and you still cross it off?
Yes.
Yeah. That's what Dubai was.
Yes.
You added it to the list after.
Yes, and I would highly, highly recommend it.
Really? Okay.
Highly recommend
That's great.
it. Yes. So
Okay.
maybe that's what Vietnam would be.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was your top vacation spot? Wait, I'm going to say as an adult without your kids. Sorry. You have to, and I know that your kids are a little bit younger, so you haven't done as many, but you have traveled with work and things. So what's like your best destination you've ever gone to?
Mm. I mean, my spouse was not with me,
Okay, that's okay.
but
That's
I
okay.
loved Dubai.
You love Dubai.
I really
Yeah.
did. I mean, I have been to Europe. I have been to the UK, but not with my. I mean, I've been to Europe with my spouse, but I would say, based upon everything that was involved, I mean,
Yeah.
we rode camels. We
Yeah.
did, we're in the desert and rode sand buggies and whatever.
Yeah.
So
It was a work trip.
it was a work trip,
Yeah.
but it honestly was an amazing trip.
So I feel like this is the age where everybody should be looking to start traveling. If you didn't,
Absolutely.
because we've done our years of changing diapers, PTA, getting up early. So thankful for summer, right? But then summer is also hectic, right? We're
Mhm.
just getting into our kids getting out of school,
Right.
you know,
Absolutely.
today, basically a lot of schools and stuff like that. And, but when you have those little kids, it's different. You can't package everybody up and just like go to Italy and enjoy it the way you want to,
This is very
So
true.
once your kids are older and you're closer to our age, this is something I really, really hope that our listeners can take away and be like, you know what, we're going to plan that trip because I am overjoyed with the memories I have made inside the US and not as an adult without my kids. And not even necessarily with a romantic partner. Do you know
This
what
is
I
true.
mean?
And you're prompting me to think of a couple of vacations that I would also say as well. So,
Okay, what kind of which ones?
well, when you say without children,
Without children, it's different.
it is different. So you and I did a trip to Pebble Beach.
We did.
In California,
Mm-hmm.
and that was amazing. The just the beauty of everything out
The
there.
golf courses that we
golf
were at were
courses,
iconic.
The shore. I mean, the dinners,
the rocks,
yeah,
that not beach, but just like cliffs.
it was gorgeous.
It was a really,
gorgeous.
and that was an adult trip.
And where we stayed too.
Top of the line.
The bagpipers, the outdoor fire area. I mean, it was, yeah.
Yeah, that was a great trip.
That was a great trip.
In the US, I also loved we both grew up in Chicago. Well, we didn't grow up in necessarily both of us Chicago, but we both live in Chicagoland.
Yes.
I grew up in Chicagoland in the suburbs. The trip that I went to Montana, amazing.
Yes. And my husband has been out to Yellowstone again for work trips.
When we went to Montana
together,
we went to Yellowstone and did that whole thing, and I was so glad I saw that as an adult, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's not just about being able to drink or go to sleep when you want not to, but it's just that when you go as an adult, you can do what you want to do,
right?
As opposed to taking care of someone.
You don't have to think about anybody else, but yourself.
Yeah, or your partner, or whatever. But it's way different than being a parent. It is. So Yellowstone was amazing, and then I love Colorado too.
I do love Colorado.
I've been to several places in Colorado. We actually grew up doing that, and then go skiing in Colorado. But I went there as an adult, and we did Breckenridge, off season, not during ski season, and it was stunning. It was stunning.
And we did Breck with our children who were not little, but a little bit older.
Yes, you're right. You did that with family. Didn't you do that with a bunch?
Yeah. Yes. And that was during ski season, and it was amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's right. It was New Year's Eve because I called you.
Yes.
Because we had New Year's Eve first, and then you had New Year's Eve
we were a little
later.
Behind.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. So yeah. And I would also add to the list, again, with my, child, but in high school, we did do a trip to Italy, to Tuscany, which was absolutely phenomenal.
And that was for a wedding, which prompted you to do that.
Family wedding, yes.
But you spent a lot of time. Yes, I also did Tuscany many years ago, and that was my first time. That was my first time.
Yeah.
Flying overseas like that and doing. I'd been to Mexico and stuff like that, but in Jamaica. But that trip really, really opened my eyes to how different people live. I think that that's so important. And again, telling your children,
these or
stories
even having
too.
Your children experience it if they can.
Yeah.
I would definitely were talking about places that you loved and would go back to.
Yeah.
I would go back to Italy in a heartbeat,
I wanna
over
go back
and
to Italy
over
too.
and over again, only because there's so much to see.
Yes.
But I also would go back to Tuscany in a heartbeat.
I know, but I feel like we stayed in Tuscany, but we also did a small day trips to San Gimignano and Siena, and we did Venice.
Yeah,
You know,
we did
so
Pisa. We did the whole,
yeah,
hold up the tower with your finger.
hold it up. Here's my picture. Right, but we didn't make it to Rome. We
Yes,
did Florence.
I would love to do Rome.
My birthday actually was in Florence. Thank you, Pat Garrison. But we didn't go to Rome. A whole country is very difficult to do in one trip. So I'd love to go back, but what I fight for now is like going somewhere else that I have
Yes.
interest. Like that bucket list is still like craving. You know, for years and years and years, I want to go to Mykonos, Greece, and it was because I saw one travel station, something on the TV where I was like, I want to go
Yeah,
there.
that was your hook. That was it.
It was so long ago, and I've been bugging my friends to go there. And then last February, over a year ago, I was with somebody on Super Bowl, and I said, "Do you want to go to Mo?" And I said,
Yeah.
"Do you want to go?" She's like, "Yes, I'd love it." So we planned a trip to Greece.
Yeah, it was
And
just the
we
two of
did.
you.
It was just the two of us, and we had a blast. So this last summer, I went to Greece, and I would totally love to anybody, talk to anybody if they were planning a trip to Greece. But we flew into Athens. We did Paros, an accident a little bit, and we did Naxos, which I loved, and then we did Mykonos, and then back.
That's fantastic.
So it was really, really that was a bucket list thing. But I've been to France, and I really, really enjoyed France too. Again, like we stayed at one place, and then we would go dip, and we went to Dijon, and all that stuff. So
It's where you brought back the mustards.
I did bring mustard back for you, and I brought olive oil back for you.
That was from Greece.
From Greece.
And you brought a cute little apron that I actually wear when I cook from France.
Oh, nice.
And actually, Maddie and I have a river cruise booked in France to travel the Bordeaux wine region next May.
It's going to be killer.
I'm looking forward to that for sure.
I think this is the time to start like exploring.
I agree. And you know what? It doesn't have to necessarily be Europe per se.
Right.
You can start, you could even do a road trip, which would be super fun.
Yes.
My parents actually did a road trip last year where they went, they started in Chicago, and this might be totally wrong, but this is the gist I remember, is they went up like the west side of Wisconsin, like then up through Minnesota, and then came down the east side.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that you can see, right?
Yes.
We live in a region with the Great Lakes,
Yeah.
which are absolutely amazing. And, there's a lot that you can see and just road trip.
Very true.
Road trip. That's kind of an exciting thing. Even if
you don't even need a lot of planning.
Right,
you could
that's what I'm saying.
Today is Wednesday. You could totally go this weekend.
You could say, we're going to drive 6 hours tops.
We're going to go.
Because I got a threshold for driving. But, but then you find a place and,
And it's so easy to do because we have technology and we have the internet and all that stuff.
Right.
We did a fair amount of traveling with the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Between hockey and then Brett playing for Butler.
Right.
We've been to Minnesota, we've been to Florida, we've been to Kentucky. You know what I mean? So, and then I went to school in California, and so I would drive there and back. So I have a wide range of states I've actually been in, and I could say I know what that state's like, kind of a thing, right? But so now my focus is definitely overseas. Yeah. I've been to Canada. I love Canada too. You were just in Canada.
I was just there a couple weeks ago.
You were just in Canada.
Yeah.
And what do you think? It's clean, isn't it? I like Canada.
I do. I like Toronto. I've been to Toronto. I've been to Quebec. I've been to Montreal, and I've been to Vancouver. I would say those are kind of like the bigger
those are the big ones.
areas.
Yeah.
They're all gorgeous. One place that I would like to go in Canada, and I don't even know where it's at. I just know it's Lake Louise, and I think it's kind of middle-ish. Should have done my research before I said all this, but it's just a place that I see. I just saw it on Wheel of Fortune the other night.
On Wheel of Fortune?
Where someone won a trip to Lake Louise, and it's in Canada, and it looks absolutely
it must be a hot spot.
Gorgeous.
Okay.
So
okay.
There's that.
Lake Louise.
What about What about the Grand Canyon? Have you ever been to the Grand Canyon?
Yes, I have.
Hmm.
It
I
was
have- I've
somewhat
been
of a
to
family
Arizona,
trip.
but
The
not
kids
Grand
were
Canyon.
little, but
Yeah.
my aunt lives in Arizona. So then, and from there we went up north and then went to the Grand Canyon. Now I have not hiked the Grand Canyon. Again, I was there with little kids.
Right, right. What about the East Coast? Have you
I-
done vacations
I
on the
need
East
to do
Coast?
more. I went to Boston,
Boston's phenomenal.
and Boston was, oh,
Did you do the Freedom Trail?
no, I did Fenway. We saw a concert in Fenway.
Okay.
And then I was there for a very short time.
Okay.
And that was like a last minute trip. I went
Got
and
you.
met a girlfriend that was there for work, and I was like,
Okay.
I bounced there and did that. But there's a lot on the East Coast I haven't, because I lived on the West Coast at some point. So like there's a
Right.
lot, and I did a lot of traveling up and down there. So I really feel like I need a travel partner that wants to go to the East Coast. Yeah.
East Coast.
And you can still drive, because you can drive
Well,
and
you can
find some place to stay. And like
So I will never forget a family trip that, not that I took my family, but that I did with my family growing
Okay.
up, where we left Chicago and we drove out to Montreal, then we drove up to Quebec
okay.
in Canada. Quebec City is gorgeous. There's this huge
I don't think I've been there.
There's a huge Quebec is like being in France. It's a wall, but Quebec City is like a walled.
That's a really big statement that you just made.
It's a walled city, and
Okay.
it is like being in Europe.
Okay.
Okay. I think the French and the, what do they call it? Canadian French or French Canadians?
I would say
they would differ, whatever.
Right.
But it's gorgeous.
That, but yeah.
Being from Chicago, it's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Right. So, and from there, that goes up to like Maine. So you can dip down through Maine. So you can eat lobster if you love lobster.
Love.
Kennebunkport has like the best ice cream. Then you come down through, I think we did like Vermont and New Hampshire, and then came to Boston, and then did like
I need to plan a road trip.
So the Freedom Trail, right? And you visit the USS Constitution and Paul Revere's house. The British are coming. The British are coming.
Yeah.
Right? And then it's just, there's so much history on the East
part.
Coast,
Yeah.
right? Because obviously that's where the
Have
colonies.
you been to DC, speaking of history?
I have.
Yeah.
I love DC. And you know what? This is actually, for those of you that are still raising your families, I highly, highly recommend going to Washington, D.C. Yes, because all of the museums are free. Did you know that?
Did not know
They're
that.
all free. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and you know what? You should go to Arlington National Cemetery.
Absolutely.
And you should go.
I think that's a must. Yeah.
Yeah, to the Tomb of the Unknown and watch the guard. It's just extremely moving.
Yeah.
Extremely moving.
So it's really about like taking in these experiences that you weren't able to do when you were a young person, or you didn't have enough money, or you were raising kids, or you were thick of your career, but now you've got, 3, 4, 5 weeks of vacation a year. Go away. And if you can't afford to go overseas or a road trip for 2 weeks or something like that, get girlfriends together, which is different than going with your partner.
This is very true.
And go to Lake Geneva.
100%.
Go to Wisconsin.
Or go to New Buffalo or
there's such cool places,
or,
and walk around, or do the wineries, or do, there's so many things. I just think getting out of your house and creating those memories.
Yeah.
And of course, photos and all that kind of stuff. But like, I think that just makes you feel alive.
Yeah.
And that life isn't passing you by. Do you know what I mean?
I agree. Go somewhere where you've never been.
Never been.
Never been.
Yes,
and again, that's
says the girl that says you go back to Italy.
Well, I would.
But after you do your others.
Yeah, but just kind of to the point, if you can't get out of the country.
I want to go back to Italy too, though, so I'm in the same.
There are other places I want to go to also. Like
Name one.
I have been to Iceland several times.
Really?
When I say several, I mean like 4 times. But that's only been because I've had layovers in Iceland.
That doesn't count.
Right. But I've had a taste of it, and I would like to just experience more of it. And you know what? From Chicago, it's not a bad, it's a 5-hour flight. That is not bad,
I would totally do Iceland.
right?
I want to go to Sweden. My grandmother was
I've been to Sweden.
100%
Yes.
ish. If you could be 100%, I don't know. She didn't.
My-
I don't
my-
have her DNA that says that. But
My great grandfather was from
Sweden-
Malmo,
I'd love,
Sweden.
I'd love to do that, but I've
Right?
never been to England either.
You would like,
And
you
I
would
and I
like it.
really I also need to find somebody that'll go to England with
Right.
me. Yeah.
And I have been to England and Scotland, but not Ireland. So I'd love to go to
I
Ireland.
also want to go to Ireland, but when people say that, they're like, I'm like, oh, I still want to go.
I would go.
I still
think
wanna
it's-
go.
I think it's beautiful. I've been to Germany. I would love to take my husband back to Germany.
Yeah.
There is actually a Berwick, Germany.
What?
It's on the map.
It's a town?
It's a town.
Does he know this?
He does. I showed
Oh,
him.
that's adorable.
Yeah, right? You know where I'd love to go that I haven't been is Switzerland.
I want to go to Switzerland. If we're keeping in Kim's, and I have been to Switzerland only because I landed there and it was a layover. And then Chrissy Clem, who got searched, and she had to undo everything. It was a whole thing, actually, in Switzerland. But I would love to explore Switzerland, and I know somebody that we could hook up with there, and like we could do that.
Oh, that's right. I think I remember.
We could do that. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, all of
I love. There's so many places.
There's so many
Get a list
places.
together.
Get a
We're
list
wrapping up,
together.
but get a list together.
Let us know some of your favorites too, and
Yeah,
we can research them and kind of find.
we could.
We could do a follow up to this. If you
We
let
could,
us,
we could do
you let
one.
us know.
We could do a podcast on location
We
in
definitely
Switzerland.
could. Yeah, we could totally or
Kim's
or Ireland.
or Ireland.
We can or Iceland. We could take this thing on the
Yeah,
road.
We can take this thing on the road. Okay, get out, see the world. We think as Gen Xers, this is the time now we have that you don't have. I don't think babies in diapers.
Right.
And so
Or
it's your
little
time
kids,
to go.
right.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like your time to like go and explore, because honestly, my dad hasn't seen a lot of the world, and it was just his thing, and he never saw value in it. But like, kind of like at the end of his life, at 86, he hasn't. The only
Yeah.
trips he's been on are mission trips.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
he's not
which
able
are
to do-
amazing, but
amazing, but he's not able to do anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you don't want to wait until you're too old to do things.
Agreed.
You want to be able to do that when you're still able to do the walks, to do the hikes, to do the tours.
yes, agreed.
So-
I totally agree. So, cheers.
Go.
Here's to traveling.
To travel.
To
Get out
travel,
and see the
get out,
world.
explore.
Absolutely. Cheers to you.
Ciao.